Good afternoon, everybody. And we're going to give it a minute here for everybody to finish logging in before we begin. All right, looks like everybody's getting logged in. Perfect. All right, well, welcome to today's webinar, Planning for a Summer or Fall Migration. My name is Greg Woodbury, I'm one of the account managers here, along with my co-host Carl. But this is our first webinar. We have quite the series planned for the remainder of this spring, going into the summer, maybe even into the fall. So do want to do a quick introduction of myself and then let Carl do his, but I am back at RealGreen. I was gone for about 8 years, but I'm back now for going into my second year. I worked for one of the other companies that Joe owned called Synergetic for the better part of almost 8 years. And then I left for 8 and came back. So I'm really enjoying my time back here, getting to see a lot of people and meet a lot of people on video that I used to meet with face to face. So, but a couple months ago now, Carl and I were sitting around talking about things that we've done, and him and I have both done webinars. Me quite a while ago, Carl a couple years ago. So we decided to put together another series. So we're all happy that you guys were able to join us today. And so, without further ado, I'll pass it over to my co-host, Carl.
Hi, Carl and S. Been with the company for 10 years now. Started in tech support 10 years ago. Got promoted to AMA and built that program for about 8 years, and got promoted again to account manager where I am at now. Like Greg said, we did do a lot of webinars for AMA, which I believe taught a lot of people a lot of things. A lot of questions were answered. Some of those videos are still being used today. So hopefully some of these webinars that we're going to put together are going to be used for a long time. Go back to anytime and hopefully answer some of the questions that you might have, especially with today's topic being migration to SA5.
Good. So, Mike Bowen, thanks for joining us today, giving us some time out of your schedule. I know it's very busy and it is starting to slow down a little bit, but Mike is in charge of the team that works with all of our customers when migrating from Service Assistant 4 over to Service Assistant 5. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of your background and what your team does on a regular basis?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. So yeah, my name is Mike Bowen. I am the manager over the implementation team. So that's going to include anybody that's kind of coming on as new customers, or those customers for today's conversation is the migrations from SA4 to SA5. So our team's going to take you through that process of transitioning over, making sure that you're getting trained up, and here to answer any of those questions along the way.
How long have you?
Yeah, been with RealGreen for 2 years. Started off in technical support and then kind of made my way over to working with more of the training aspect.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Mike, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So really, where does the migration process start? And I'm going to have Carl answer our first question. So where does a customer begin with when they decide that, you know what, now is the time, I want to move from version 4 to version 5?
So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you get a proposal that is going to be to the amount of users that you are going to be using SA5. Signing that proposal and getting it back to us is going to be that first step. So that way we can enter an opportunity to the migration team to get the process going. So signing that promotion is numero one on getting going with SA5. Now, prior to that, obviously, we can do a demo, show you a lot about SA5, send you a lot of videos, answer any questions, things like that. But to get the actual process going into migration into SA5 is the sign proposal.
So Mike, are there things that customers should be doing prior to migrating over to version 5?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things that you can kind of prepare for to get that process rolling. So just a few things to maybe note as you get that proposal signed, you get that over to the account management team will be reaching out to you and to discuss that onboarding process. So getting you across, getting you scheduled for your migration, getting you enrolled into RealGreen Academy to do some of that training, and discussing some of those items that are gonna, you'll want to be aware of for that migration. So those are going to include things like notifying your IT company. So if you have an outside IT company that handles or manages your server, that's something we're going to need access into. So they may need to know that we're going to be connecting on a day at a specific time, just to make sure that we can get in and open and launch the different components we'll need to begin that backup, and then ultimately that transfer of your data over to our hosted servers to get SA5 up and going for you.
So Mike, from the time that I enter the opportunity into migration, we have a time that we need to contact the customer. What is that time range?
So that's 24 to 48 business hours. So it's a pretty quick expectation for that call. You should expect that pretty quick.
Perfect.
And just as we start to knock off our dust, over on the right-hand side, we forgot about, there is a little chat feature over there. If anybody has any questions as we go along, please write those questions in the chat there. And at the end of our questioning today, we just plan to do a little Q&A as long as time permits. But just want to remind everybody that chat feature is there. Please use it, even if you just want to put in there hi, or where you're at, or what state you're in, or what city or what company you're with. That would be great as well. So.
And this is for you guys, not for us. So any questions that you might have about SA5, try to stay the topic, obviously, but we'd love to answer any questions. This is a webinar to make sure that some of those gray areas, some of those questions are being answered. And this is why we're doing these webinars.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Mike, yes. now that the customer, they've signed their proposal, you've called and done your discovery, and you have scheduled that migration, what do we expect on the day of? So everybody's going to be all nervous. It's like the new baby coming. So yeah. What are they going to expect that day?
So the day of your migration, so you're going to have to be out of Service Assistant 4, right? So we can't be making changes to that data. Once we begin that data backup, that's what's going to go live once we get you transferred over to hosted and we get your Service Assistant 5 site kind of started up. So we plan these for around 4 hours. So Service Assistant 4, we'll need everybody out of that. And then we'll also need to note that Mobile Live is going to be offline during that time. So one important thing to do, and something we will make recommendation of during that phone call, that discovery call, is really to just let you know, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and print out some route sheets. So a worksheet, a schedule for your techs, just in case they're out in the field the day we're doing a migration, they still have something to work off of to continue through that process. So we'll connect with you. We'll get that data transfer started. We'll get that backup of Service Assistant 4. We'll start transferring that information over. We'll get that across. We'll get that going, and then we'll start transferring across any customer documents you have. So it's important to know that the customer documents, those won't stop you from using Service Assistant 5. And because some of you are using that so extensively, which is fantastic, it might take a little bit longer to get those documents transferred across. Typically, it comes across in that 4-hour span, but we've seen this extend up to 24 to 72 hours to get all of those files completed. And to some extent, that's going to be a little bit dependent on the internet connection, and then also that internet connection speed.
And the amount of data, right, that you're transferring over, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah. The bigger you are, the longer it's going to take.
Most should still work or still complete inside that 4 hours. We've moved some pretty big ones, and we've been able to get the office back online, right? Being able to get back into Service Assistant and pull customers, add new customers, get in there and be ready to route work for the next day. We generally have it inside of that window.
Perfect.
And I know you and I've worked on a couple projects too with customers that they had staff that weren't saving the documents in the proper folders. We had to go out and find them. And so it's important to discuss with your staff that, hey, you know what, where were you saving these files at? Because when you go to click on them, they're not there. So
yep. Yeah, so that's an important one, definitely, is if we're saving files somewhere that's not that main customer documents directory, maybe you have a shared network drive that you guys scan to. store your files in a scans folder, something along those lines. Definitely something you're going to want to let the migration technician know when they reach out that day of. Say, hey, I know you're getting the backup ready. We store all of our customer documents in this folder on the server versus somewhere, inside the main service assistant directory there. So all definitely something to let us know.
So now it's done. We've completed the migration. We've got our brand new car, the fancy new car. What happens next?
So once we have that database transferred across, we've been able to run through it and make sure everything's going to work properly for you. We're going to be doing a one-on-one follow-up with you. So again, that RealGreen Academy is where you're going to have access to and go through the training leading up to your migration. And that day of, we're going to schedule for some one-on-one time. So you're going to work with your implementation specialist, and oftentimes that's going to be who reached out to you to do that discovery call. And we're going to go through any questions that you had during that training, or any questions you have in general regarding Service Assistant 5. That might be new functionality that you're interested in learning about, or one of the reasons that you've moved over to Service Assistant 5. So we're going to take that time to go through that with you and your team, and that'll be a webinar so we can kind of answer those questions. And again, it's one-on-one, so it's really dedicated time for you. Some of the crucial things that we'll want to discuss with you during that call are some custom security levels. So there's certain things that are different, obviously, between SA4 and SA5, and security levels being one of them. With that added functionality comes a little bit different control over what somebody can use. So custom security levels are something that you'll have to reconfigure if that's what you want to use. Now, with that in mind, we're also going to add some security level templates based on user roles. So things like office manager, just office staff. So we're going to add some of those templates, allowing you to maybe just use those templates, make it easier on you so you're not having to check boxes for custom security levels, and then be up and operational for those team members a little bit faster. Another thing to note is favorite reports are going to have to be recreated. So if you're utilizing that favorite report functionality in SA4, it's still available in SA5. We're just going to have to recreate those favorite settings or that criteria to be able to use those reports. And again, that's something we're going to discuss with you during that one-on-one time to make sure you understand how to do that. If you're using mobile live, you're going to be provided with a new QR code sheet so that you can scan that into your mobile devices. That token and web service, those are going to change moving over to the hosted environment. So there's a few things to kind of expect on that migration day. And typically what we'll do as part of that one-on-one, there's a few things that we want to go through with you, right? You may understand it very well. You've gone through the training. Things seem to be clicking very well. We'll still want to cover a few things like, let's make sure your email is working. Let's make sure that we can get through the invoice process and all of the appropriate selections are made and it works well for you.
I like that.
Now, that one of the new things that we've added recently is the RealGreen Academy. How does that work with a customer that's migrating from SA4 to SA5?
Yeah, absolutely. So the RealGreen Academy has now the training that that we were providing as part of that migration day. So previously, you were locked into having to go through 4 hours with your entire team to really learn the software. On the day of your migration, not a lot of information leading up to that. Well, with RealGreen Academy now, you have that training material. You can start that training as soon as you get your user information over to the implementation specialist. We'll get you enrolled in the training. You can start stepping through that, giving you a little bit more opportunity to go through and learn the functionality versus kind of just being thrown into it at the end of a migration. There's enough going on there that day that if you take that opportunity to learn the software leading up to it, you're going to find that it's easier to kind of get in and adopt and make use of that software and gain those benefits that you're really looking for out of Service Assistant 5. It also allows us to provide up-to-date training materials. So if we're making changes, and we constantly are to the software, we're adding new functionality, well, we're going to be updating that training material. You can always go back to that and reference that information if you need to learn something new, or if you have new team members that are coming on board. That's going to allow you to get them into the RealGreen Academy, and then you can focus more on training the specifics of how your company operates versus some of that navigation and that initial onboarding that maybe you were doing before. And then as we continue to grow those learning resources, that'll be your one-stop shop, right? So that's where you're going to go to access any new products that we've added, any changes, like I said. So that's where really RealGreen Academy is going to be there for you. I mentioned it before. On that migration day, you're going to have that one-on-one follow-up time to answer any of those questions that maybe you uncovered during the RealGreen Academy training. So yeah, again, it really just kind of lets you solidify that knowledge that you've gained through RealGreen Academy, answer any of those ambiguous questions or things that you think, all right, well, I do it this way, right? That maybe that's not what we trained you on in RealGreen Academy. We're looking at best practices, but coming from SA4, you might have ways you're already doing things. So we'll try to maybe translate some of that functionality for you.
Gotcha. Now I got a question for you, Greg. Now, obviously, we're going into the summer, and after that is going to be the fall. So, why, as a company, is it beneficial for me to transition now and in the summer, opposed to after the fall?
Well, there's a couple good reasons and a couple thoughts with that too. If you think about it, the United States, half of the United States never really even slows down. They're always going, so they don't even have a slow time. So a company or a customer in Miami, or even for that matter, Nashville hardly even slows down with a little bit of a winter dip. So really, most of our customers don't have a slow period. It feels like sometimes they just want to push and push and push it off. And so doing it during a busy time has some good reasons to it. One, it's getting in there and using the software and the muscle memory. We have more of an issue with adoption or people remembering what they were taught in December. So you migrate on December 15th. Then you have the company party, then you have the family Christmas party, then you have a week off, and then you have New Year's, and then you have New Year's Eve, or you have New Year's Eve, then you have New Year's Day. And then you end up with a couple more days off. And then all of a sudden it's January 7th and you're back to work and you're like, you had to put the office address in your GPS to get there, and let alone figuring out how to log into Service Assistant 5. So, being able to dive into that software right when you're in the heat of the battle really will improve your adoption. It'll make things much easier, much quicker than trying to learn something, going on vacation for a month, and then coming back.
Yeah, and I would agree with that 100%. I used to be a hockey trainer, and a lot of parents used to ask me, I want to train off season. I said, well, that's great, but when are you really going to be using that? Like you said, the muscle memories, the remembering how to use it. It is so much better to train while your season is in play, because everything that you're learning, you're using right away. So everything is learning and going, which again, I would totally agree that migrating in the summer where you're going to be able to use it right away and learn it the fastest way by using it, obviously is going to be the best way to go ahead and migrate and transition. Totally agree.
It's almost like golf too. I mean, how many people in the fall or in the winter, they stop playing golf, and then their first few rounds in the spring are horrible because they're still trying to get their feel or their touch back.
Yep.
So
definitely not mid-season form.
Yeah. How is it on the tech support side, Mike, in July and August and those types of months?
Yeah, so you're gonna find that the support times are great throughout the year. In the summertime, I think you're gonna get a little bit more rapid response there. Keep in mind that when you migrate, you're gonna stick with the implementation team for a period of time. So you're not just jumping in straight to support. You're gonna have an opportunity. If you need a little more additional follow-up time, you just gotta reach out to the implementation team, and we can get that time scheduled and then go through that again, whether if that's with an entire group of people on your team, or if that's just a single user that maybe just needs a little bit more assistance with how they're using the software or their specific role. So yeah, you'll find that a little bit quicker response there in the summertime.
Well, I really hope that this webinar has helped a lot of our attendees today, and any future people that listen to this webinar, that it is a scary thing to change. change is hard, can be hard, but we just want to make sure that you know what to expect, what you can expect, and that is really not as scary as some people make it out to be.
Just a quick reminder that that chat feature is there. We've gone through a lot of stuff here and a lot of information with Mike, so we'll leave these last few minutes as we bump up against our 20-minute mark to answer any questions that anybody may have. If we're not able to get you an answer today, I promise you that myself, Carl, or one of your account managers will reach out within the next day and follow up with you and get those answers for you. So feel free to write those in the chat. Just want to let everybody know our next webinar is going to be next Thursday, 3 o'clock, with Kendall Hines on our lawn bot team. So
Yeah, Kendall's is a great information library in itself. Great young, motivated lawn care franchise owner, now transferring into LawnBot. So he's got just a wealth of knowledge, and just a real pleasure to talk with him. So looking forward to having Kendall with us in the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah,
so do have one question from Diane. While it may not be recommended, is winter a migration possibility? Yes, it is a possibility. You know, we've got another 6 months to get to December, but now is a good time with your account manager to start having that discussion about scheduling, getting all those ducks in a row, going through product tour, so that everything is not so happening so quickly. There are slow times during the summer, for example, 4th of July week. There are slower times in the lawn care industry where we can sit down and plan. And as you get to step one, which Carl and I talked about with getting that proposal in, we can get that paperwork all pulled together August or September, and then that allows you a lot more opportunity to find a migration date in the month and time frame that you want to be in next winter too. So versus having to just take what's available, because from October to March, they're rocking and rolling pretty good. So
yeah. And it's not so much that it's not recommended to do in the winter. Migration is busier. Account managers are busier. A lot of people are busier. And again, it's a little bit easier to learn the software while you're using it rather than shelving it in the winter. It's not that it's not recommended. It's just, it's whatever is more comfortable for you, but letting you know that even though it might be scarier to do it in the summer while your season's going on, it really is a good time to do it as well.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that with the migration, so things like custom forms, we'll need to get those recreated. So again, during the summer months, with things being a little bit calmer here, we have a little more opportunity to get those recreated. And we do have a video to help you guys identify whether you're using custom forms to better kind of plan for something like that. And I think, Greg, you'll have a chance to share that out with our viewers today, right?
yeah, we'll send it out tomorrow, the YouTube video, and we're also going to try to drop it here in the chat and see if everybody can grab that. But it is a great tutorial on how to do that.
Yeah, it helps you walk through the process of just identifying that, and really, again, helps you better prepare. That's what it's there for. So we can ensure we have that up and ready for you when you come across on that migration day.
Yeah, preparation is key, right? So
absolutely,
you get your ducks in a row, and I could, for myself, coming from SA4 Tech Sport 10 years ago into AMA, which I didn't really use SA5 a whole lot, to having to learn SA5, it literally took me about 3 days. So it's really not a hard software to learn. It's actually easier. There's a lot more widgets. There's a lot more tools that make that transition just really, really smooth.
The thing I like too, Carl, is all the new stuff, all the exciting new bells and whistles that we get with Lawn Doctor and Captivated and
LawnBot.
LawnBot.
Lawn
say?
bot, cat, lawn doctor.
Oh, lawn doctor, lawn bot, yes.
Lawn bot captivated. Yeah, what's the other one that we just integrated with?
Oh, Waypoint
Waypoint.
for soil testing. Yeah, that's now
Exactly.
new. Yep.
So any of the integration and any new development is going into SA5. So to get all of those things.
Well, I think I think between the three of us, we've run into it a number of times where like aging IT infrastructure. So you're dealing with failing servers, failing hardware.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, that's, you know, if you think you're on the cusp of something like that, you're starting to hear those clunking noises. Probably a good time to reach out and see how we can get you across.
Yeah, those hamsters start to their legs get a little tired after a while, and you can start hearing the hamster wheel start creaking, and
those little clunk noises. You're like, I didn't hear
right?
that.
And you guys all know what we're talking about. I mean, you know when your computer's starting to die, the memory is getting bogged down, and it's, you know, computers are what they are. You know, they die after a few years, and so to eliminate all of that, going to a web base, you never have to worry about that anymore.
Mike, got another question here. How far out do you guys typically schedule for migrations once it's into your hands?
So it really depends on the kind of the time of year. I'd say the best thing to do is to get with Greg, Carl, or your account manager, get that proposal signed, and we'll be reaching out, like we said, within that 24 to 48 hours and getting you scheduled as quickly as we can. You know, with things like this happening, you know, we're gonna see influxes, so it's tough to kind of give it an exact timeline at this point. But yeah, the best thing you can do is start that discussion, get that demonstration by the account manager done, get into that proposal, and we'll get the process rolling for you.
Yeah, I know that in the winter months, you know, there's a 2 to 3 week turnaround. There might be a couple open spots here and there, but it was about 2 to 3 week turnaround, where in the summer months, you're probably less than a week, especially on emergency.
Sure. Yeah, we're dealing with we're a little more flexibility with those emergencies, really, you know, kind of anytime, but no, yeah, you're gonna have a little bit easier time getting into the schedule during the summer months.
And if you want to plan, if you're a planner and want to get things, all your ducks in a row, and want to pick a date, you know, we try not to go more than 6 months out. So that would put us into the middle of October if we were to look at it today. But we can definitely do that too. Any other questions? It's almost perfect timing. We're bumping up against 3:30 exactly right now. So we will send out a link to you guys for the video, or actually GoToWebinar does it by itself. Feel free to reach out to any of the account managers if you have any additional questions or something that we didn't answer for you today. Other than that, I think that's it. Carl, anything else?
No, this was definitely a great start to our webinar series. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. The great wealth of information, and I know that as a company, I would feel a little bit more at ease knowing there's processes and they're put in place for a reason.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. All right. So everybody else, we will see you in 1 week, Thursday, the 22nd at 3 o'clock. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks,
Bye
everyone.
for now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.